Da-na-da-da, da-na-da-da. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Marilyn Darling Show. Welcome to another episode of Fountain Pen Calligraphy 101. How is everyone doing today? Are you having a nice day? I hope you're having a nice day wherever you are in the world. Okay. I'm going to share this video with our friends on Pinterest and Reddit and Twitter and Blogger and Tumblr and LinkedIn. Today we're going to be talking about paper and the basic strokes. Alexa, stop. We'll be talking about the different types of paper that there are. Today we're going to be talking about paper. Paper, lines, grids, dots, and blank paper. There are many different types of paper out there. You will find some have weird shapes in them. I don't have any of those. Some have grids and very small grids and large grids and blank paper, and we're going to talk about it all. And then we'll get into the basic strokes and things we can do with the basic strokes. So, the first type of paper that you might find in the store is lined paper. Lined paper is, the pretty much generic paper that you can get. The second most generic paper that I could find, which was at the 99-cent store, was grid paper. Okay. This is grid paper. And then the third most common paper that I could find was this right here. It says HP 32-pound copy paper. You can find this at any type of stationery store. Hi, Renee. How are you? Are you having a nice day? Oh, I forgot to set up my computer to see if my chat was coming in or not. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm on. Got my new Flex nib at Target. Composition book. Oh boy, this is going to be great. Okay. I want to make sure that everybody's able to see people. Okay. Going to eat lunch and follow along. Awesome. Okay, so this is the third most common paper that you can find. Of course, you can find books like the Unison Composition book, which is an excellent book. And then if you look into specialty type papers, you might find something called the dot grid. The dot grid paper comes in these little tiny lines on paper, and we will take a closer look at these and how they can be used to make calligraphy. And a very rare, two of the most rare types that you might not see. This is called French rule paper. Basically has 4 spaces and 3 lines in the middle of the space. And this is excellent if you are trying to get your letters to look really good. Another very rare type of paper is called the Lamy booklet. They call this Lamy rule, and it's basically French rule, but half of French rule. So instead of 4 lines, there's only 1 line separating the baseline from the mid-height line. Cool. And we'll go over all of these eventually. But we're going to stick with regular lined paper today. If you have a notebook, use your notebook. We're going to be using wide ruled notebook paper today. And these are just some things that you can do with your calligraphy on this type of paper. These are just examples. And you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, I will never be able to do any of that. I'm gonna be brave. I'll be right back. 2 shakes. I'm going to show you my original. I'm going to show you my original journal. I'm so embarrassed to show this. But this is what my writing used to look like. Okay. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. And this is what my lettering looks like today. It's not better. But this is my daily journal. But you can see that now it's at least a tiny bit more legible. And this is not done in like any specific type of calligraphy or anything. And then I do some really nice calligraphy. So these are just examples of how you can change your writing. Go from really bad to really good. So, you got your flex pen. Now we're going to be talking about the basic strokes. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to turn my camera this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. Oh, okay. Maybe it doesn't like that. How am I going to show you this? If it's not going to be cooperative, okay, maybe that's how. So the basic strokes for 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 looks purposes, this is how you should have your paper when you're doing the bit. You want to make sure that you have plenty of room to move about. So that way, and the reason that we use a book and we don't put the paper directly on the surface of whatever you're writing is because sometimes you can't move the paper around. Okay, and it's much easier to move a clipboard around than it is to move, or a book around than it is to move a piece of paper. Sometimes you'll get caught and you can't move quickly enough in order to continue the flow, as I like to call it. Okay, so turn you all a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, the basic strokes are made up of several different smaller strokes. Each letter is made of separate smaller strokes. And all of those strokes make up the basic letters of the English alphabet. Okay? So when you look at a line of paper, you see there's a line there, there's a line there. Well, really, there are 4 different spaces in between each line. There's one there. There's the baseline, the X height, and the ascender line. Okay. So this would be our X height. That's how big our X's should be. Okay. When we make an X, that's about how big it should be. So the basic strokes are basically understanding that there are 4 different sections inside of each line. There is the quarter, the X height, the 3/4, and the ascender line. And knowing where to stop in those lines is very important, and we will get into that. So the first thing that you need to know is the upstroke. And you can practice these. There is the quarter, the half, the 3/4, and the full. And then the second is the downstroke. That is a downstroke. And those can be varied also. The next one is the overturn. overturn can be small or it can be big, depending on what letter you're doing. And then there is the underturn. Then the compound curve. And I don't know if you can see this, but you can kind of see the lines through the... Nope, you guys can't see it at all. Okay. 1 second. I have to break this out, but okay. Nope, I can't do that either. Okay, how am I going to do this? I don't know how I'm going to do this. Okay, well, oh, you can see the lines through the paper. Okay. So those are your guidelines. You want to make sure that when you're making an upstroke that you go up in that direction and come back down in that direction. When you're making a compound curve, you're making that going in the same direction. This is a 55-degree line. Goes all the way down the page. So when you make each of these lines, I usually don't write this small. I usually take up 2 lines, use this as my middle, and these as my corners. So this would be my X height. Make a overturn, an underturn, compound curve, ascending stem loop, descending stem loop, reverse descending stem loop, oval, reverse oval, the K loop, of the R, the S, the C, and the E, and the connecting stroke. With these, you can make almost every letter with a very small variation of letters in the basic strokes. Okay. Some very special strokes. You may have to go up, over, down, up, over, down, and up. That's a double compound curve and a reverse compound and a reverse double compound curve. And we will see why this is in a minute. So when you're writing these, when you're writing letters, you don't want to think of these as letters. Think of them more as strokes. And then you'll be cooking with bacon, okay? I always mark out where my baseline is where my X height is and where the ascender line is. So we take I'll show you from the side how this looks. When you're making an A, go from the baseline to the first quarter, and you make an oval. Make sure to touch and connect, and then you make an underturn, then up to the quarter. A B is up to the middle, a little like 1 millimeter space over, and an ascending stem loop. And then a reverse oval. And then a quarter upstroke. A C is a quarter upstroke. The C shape up to the quarter. D is upstroke, oval, ascending stem loop into an upstroke. An E is an upstroke, over, up, around, up. An F, there are two versions of the F. Some people start at the base, go all the way up to the ascending stem loop, all the way down to a reverse descending stem loop and an upstroke. Or some people go up to the X height and then start the ascending stem loop into a descending stem loop and then an upstroke. This is completely up to you. And if anybody tells you wrong, you tell them to bugger off. Okay. The G is G is an upstroke, an oval, and a descending stem loop, and then an upstroke. An H is a full upstroke, an ascending stem loop, and a compound curve. Now, depending on what letter you're going to go into next, you may need to go all the way up. You may only need to go up a little bit. Some people will tell you to go up all of the way. It just depends on what the next letter is. We'll get into that in a minute. The I is an upstroke and an underturn and a tittle. The J is an upstroke, a descending stem loop, and an upstroke. I make it a point to always try and make sure that I do a little circle with my tittles, because sometimes you might get confused if you don't dot your tittles. The K is an upstroke, is an X stroke, all the way up to the X height, an ascending stem loop, and the K stroke. The K comes in right at the quarter, so that's always important if you're making a K like this. Another way to make a K is to go an upstroke, a downstroke, kind of a top part of the K, and then the bottom part of the K. Or like that. Just depends on how you want to make your Ks. Hi Gary, how are you? The L is an upstroke, ascending stem loop into an upstroke. The M is an overturn, another overturn, and a compound curve. Another way to do an M is a downstroke, an overturn, and a compound curve. An N is an overturn and a compound curve. Also, you can do a downstroke and a compound curve. The oval of the O is an upstroke, an oval, and a connecting line, connecting underturn. Another way to do an oval is an upstroke, an oval, through the oval to the upstroke. P is an X height upstroke, a descending stem loop, and a reverse oval, and then an upstroke. I have also seen people make an upstroke, a downstroke, and a reverse oval, and then an upstroke. Q is an upstroke, an oval, and a reverse descending stem loop, and an upstroke. An R is an upstroke, and the R stroke. The other way to do an R is an overturn, and up, and then like a connecting letter. The S is an upstroke, and kind of an S wiggly shape with a little tittle at the end, and then an upstroke. The U is an upstroke, an underturn, and an underturn. The V is a compound curve, and a connecting underturn. The W is an upstroke, underturn, an underturn, and a connecting stroke. An X is an elongated compound curve. So instead of coming like this, we're going to elongate this stroke here. And then we're going to try and go the same. So there should be 3 pretty evenly straight lines there. The Y is a compound curve and a descending stem loop and an upstroke. The Z is a modified overturn, comes in right at the end, and then into a descending stem loop, and then an upstroke. Phew! We've sure talked about a lot today. So there is the basic alphabet. Now, let's try and do some simple words. Now, simple words are words like can. C is a C curve, an oval, a reverse compound curve, and a compound curve. Oh, I forgot the reverse compound curve. Reverse compound curve. A difficult word would be a word like writing. So we'd start out with an underturn, or we'd start out with an upstroke, an underturn, a connecting letter, a connecting stroke, the R stroke, into an underturn, into an underturn, into an elongated underturn. I totally forgot T, didn't I? QRST. Well, a T is just a regular upstroke and an elongated underturn. A cross tittle underturn into an overturn into a compound curve. See, now I stopped halfway because I know that my next connecting letter is going to be an oval. And I want it to look nice. A descending stem loop. Here we have all of the things that are very confusing in the calligraphy world. Where does this, how is this word supposed to be written? I stop short half. Okay. Many people will spend many hours just learning the basic strokes. Now, here's the thing about paper. If you're limited on paper, just take the paper that you're using and use the back of it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Once you get the strokes down, you'll be able to just pick it up and you'll know where the 55-degree line is because your paper will be adjacent like so, and this will be the pull action. So once you figure out that this is the pull action, all you have to do is take your paper and turn it just a little bit so that way that the lines are coming towards you. Make the lines easier to make them. So just tilt your paper a little bit. You'll want to spend time learning the basic strokes and tracing the lines that you can see through the paper. Light on the upstroke and hard on the downstroke. That is how we get our thicker and thinner lines. When it comes to letters, you want to take, so we'll do an A. We'll start on the side, come up, over, around, and right as we hit the top of the letter, oh, you're being difficult right now. We will take the letter and we will press down, splaying the tines just a little bit to make the line thicker. And as soon as we get to the bottom, we'll let off and continue up to do an upstroke. I don't know whether to do it. I wonder if it's being all weird. I broke my machine. Okay. Whatever. Deal with it later. Okay, so making the letter A. Your practice going upstroke, up light, hard down, light up. And the same with the overturns. You try up light and then harder down. Now don't stomp on your pen. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Okay, it doesn't have to be severe. People think that just because they have a flexible pen means that they should push down as hard as possible. So I have my Waterman here, has a nice fine line, and yes, it makes a very bold line, but that's not necessarily pretty to look at. Okay? People want elegance in their lines. So when you're making your lines, go light on the upstroke, come up, over, around, and just gently press. Little bit of line variation. When you're making an overturn, little tiny variation in the downstroke. And you'll find that there are 3 lines in between each of your major lines that you will want to train yourself to come up on. Come up, over, oh, right there, I should start pushing, and oh, right there, I should be letting off. And you'll get the hang of it. I'm not perfect. And what if you have a bottom that's thicker than the top, they call it a soggy bottom. And it takes practice to get it just right. Oops, sorry, I ran off screen. Damn it. So, it'll take a little bit of practice to get just right. The ascending stem loop is the same way. If you start at the middle of the line, you want to go up light, come around, and then press down just a little bit and pull, and then stop and pull up. Same way with the descending stem loop. Press down, pull, let up right about there, come around, and come up. The oval is one of the hardest because you have to come up, over, press just a little bit, let up, and then come back up. Overturn. It's the same way. But after you've been doing it for a little while, you'll kind of get the hang of it. Let me see, the descending reverse descending stem loop. It's the same way. So the reverse oval is the opposite of the oval, so you press on the opposite side going the opposite direction. So when you're making a B, you'll come up to the quarter line, ascending stem loop, press, 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 let up, and then start at the line, come up, over, press, 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 let up, and then up. And that is what gives you your variation in lines. C, the same way. And if you find that your lines are looking a little jagged on the way up, go faster. You'll find that you'll have less less zigzagginess if you go faster. When you come down, make a determination, be determinate, and just go for it. Try not to go too slow, you'll be too jaggy. Try not to go too fast and be too sloppy. It's a very, very fine line. Okay. When you're connecting letters, we're going to write the quick brown fox. So the quick brown fox is underturn, ascending stem loop, compound curve, E, cross, upstroke, oval, press, up, reverse descending stem loop, U is underturn, I is an underturn, C, K is an ascending stem loop, press, and then the K right in the middle, because it's in the middle of the letter, underturn, don't forget to make your tittle, brown is upstroke, ascending stem loop, reverse oval, upstroke, only has an X height, upstroke. Now the R always goes above the halfway point. You make a kind of a moon shape and then an understroke. Now because I know that this is connected to an O, I only go halfway up. Most of the time you only go halfway up. So just keep that in mind. Oval, a connecting mark, a W, it's an underturn, another underturn, another connecting. Only this time you're going to go from your connecting into an N. So you're going to go into an overturn, and then another compound curve. I know, it's very confusing. But once you get the hang of it, it'll be as simple as pie. Fox is an F down into a descending stem loop, into an upstroke, an oval. Now, when you do this, you're going to do kind of the same thing here, but you're going to go into a extended underturn. So it's going to look like connecting up over extended underturn and then across. Jumps is a full upstroke, a descending stem loop, upstroke, full upstroke, underturn, reverse compound curve, overturn, compound curve, descending stem loop, reverse oval, full upstroke, S stroke, ending in a tittle, and then an upstroke. And don't forget your tittles. Over is an oval, a connecting letter into an underturn, which is similar to this but it's a regular underturn, so it's going to look like this. And then a connecting letter in a connecting stroke into an E. So you want to start your letter close enough so that you can connect your E into the connecting letter stroke. And then this one goes all the way up into the R stroke, into an underturn. The is an upstroke into an underturn, into an ascending stem loop, to a compound curve. Now, because I know that if I'm going to have an ovalish shape, I only want to go about halfway up. E. Lazy would be an upstroke, an ascending stem loop into an oval, into an underturn, into a reverse compound curve, into a modified overturn, into a descending stem loop, overturn, compound curve, descending stem loop, upstroke. Dog is oval, ascending stem loop, oval, connecting stroke, oval, descending stem loop. Now, usually you would connect these by moving them a little closer to each other. I just wanted to put that in there so that you know that it is a separate stroke. Now, calligraphy should be done very slowly. However, once you get the hang of it, you will be able to write relatively quickly. Relatively quickly. Cool. So, the other thing that you should be practicing is spacing. A lot of people will tell you that all lines are the same. Well, they're not. They're not. Some letters will need more space than others. That's just a fact. And if someone tells you that, it's better to have closer numbers than not closer numbers, they are also right. But it doesn't look good. And you will have to make that determination on your own. And I encourage you to try connecting all of the letters to all of the letters. So, A to a B, an A to a C, or an A to an A to an A, an A to a D, an A to an E, and so forth. Now, the most complicated ones that you're going to find are the W's, the R's, and the V's. So, W, I always write this way. Some people tell you not to, whatever. You can do whatever you want. A, B, W to R, W to V, V to R, V to E, in this case, you take your connecting letter, your connecting stroke, and go into an E. Are there any other letters that we can think of that are difficult to write in, or might be potentially difficult to write? Another one is M to Y. So, M, Overturn, double compound curve, or N to Y. Those are really difficult. Some people will tell you that M to Y should look like this. M to Y. However, I think that this looks like an I and a J. And who's to say that this word isn't midge? Or nidge, for that matter. So make sure that your letters are clear when you write them so people can read them. And if you can't read them, then probably we can't read them either. Any questions, comments, concerns so far? Are we having fun yet? We're going to do just a little bit of practice here. We're going to write the word opinion. It's just the first word that I happen to see. So, because it's an O and it's the first letter, Alexa, stop. Because it's the first letter and I can go from an stroke directly into an oval, I can make this fancy oval. Also, if your word is in the middle of your letter, reverse oval, underturn, downstroke. See, I forgot to go into a compound curve or a reverse compound curve. So, in which case, if you forget, you can make a downstroke and then go into a compound curve. Now I could go both ways. I could go like this. Or I could go okay. These are both correct. Just make sure that you space it out enough so that way people don't think it's Poinian. Because this might be quite mistaken. Hi. Oh, is it? Oh, that's good. I like when it's warm. Or go Indian. These are just examples of how it might look like other words. Oh, am I? No, I'm right side. Okay. So that just gives you kind of an idea of what it might look like if you mucked up your letters. Let's write the word Voltaren just for V. Oh. Now, you could write your V into your O. Like so. We could do like a reverse fancy oval. I guess it just depends on how you want to write your letters. Oh, it stinks of marijuana. Eek. Okay, so trying to think of a word. Let's write the word when. When. W. H goes up, comes down. When is another hard one. W to H is a difficult letter. Some people might write it like so. You can write it however you want to write it. Just remember that thin strokes go up and thick strokes come down. Most people can do pretty well with just regular cursive writing. The difference between cursive writing and calligraphy is cursive writing, you don't lift your pen. It's supposed to be fast. It's supposed to look like that is cursive writing. The difference between calligraphy and cursive writing is when you write in cursive, you don't lift your pen. So my name would look like this. But if I were to do it in calligraphy, it would look more like this. Can you see the difference? Makes a huge difference. Is there any words that you guys would like to see me write while I'm here? Let me know in the comment section below. So that is all. Let me see. We'll write that as all. That is all for today. Oh, my hand hurts. Thanks, Renee. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Anyway, that is all for today. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed that one. I hope that you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring the little bell. Make sure set to all so when I upload new content, YouTube notifies you. And I will be back tomorrow with another video. So take care until then. Okay, love you. Bye.